Welcome to the Too Long Didn't Read Book Club, where we bring you the best bits of the best books and leave you, hopefully, wanting more. Tonight's title, Conquistador, by Buddy Levy. In 1519, less than 30 years since Columbus's first voyage to the New World, a group of Spanish conquistadors emerged from the jungles of Central America, now Mexico, and walked into a city that was bigger than anything they had ever seen in Europe. There were markets, neighborhoods, crops, massive pyramids drenched in the blood of human sacrifice, and perhaps most surprising to those unfamiliar with this story, a full-fledged zoo. These men from a world away had heard plenty about this city and these people. Most notably, they had heard of their king, Montezuma. Loved by many and feared by all, he ruled over an expanse of land in Central America that would rival any European monarch on their home continent. He was the most powerful chieftain of the most powerful tribe on the continent, believed to be more god than man. These bedraggled, though ever stalwart conquistadors numbered around 600, with 15 horsemen, 15 cannons, and hundreds of indigenous tribesmen who had been long trampled under the foot of the Aztec Empire. The leader of this contingent was a 34-year-old Spaniard who, despite the opulence he found himself surrounded by, seemed not the least impressed. This man's name was Cortez. He had ventured to Cuba a few years earlier and rose to a position of leadership through tenure and temerity. In 1518, he had been placed in charge of this expedition and had been bargaining or bludgeoning all of the neighboring tribes into submission since he had landed. Cortez and his men had come in search of legacy and riches. However, along the way, they became masters of unconventional warfare. Ironically, in their quest for empirical expansion, they would have to combat an empire. In most North American history classes, this is an oft-told and oft-misunderstood, or more accurately, under-understood story. To really understand this conflict, this story, and this book, it's important to understand the two main motivating factors involved here. Though this is certainly up for debate, in my estimation, having read this book, this boiled down to riches, be that gold, land, or other commodities, and souls. As the story evolves, Cortez and his men seem to become more and more militant in their pursuit of not just terrestrial wealth, but celestial justice, at least in their minds. This is because as they worked their way towards the Aztec capital of Tenochtitlan, the tribes in the surrounding areas began to see them, in many cases, as deified saviors, come to free them from the bonds of Aztec servitude. Though the contingent of conquistadors did, as was common practice, include a number of Catholic priests, they viewed their duty to evangelize as a secondary practice at best. That is, until they started to find the body parts and hear the stories. Tribe after tribe bemoaned the multitudes of loved ones lost to Aztec war parties who swept down upon their humble villages in torrents of violence, hauling away live captives by the dozens, hundreds, or thousands. These captives would be gristle in the mill that was industrial sacrifice in Aztec society, more days than not atop the largest pyramid structures in the Western Hemisphere. Men, women, and children would be ceremonially adorned and hauled up the steep stairs. They would be bent face up over a large rock, so the rock would be sitting right underneath their lower back. Then 4 priests would grab their arms and legs and hold them out so that the person couldn't move. All these priests were adorned in gold and turquoise and feather. Actually, the movie Apocalypto does a decent treatment of how this would go down if you want to see it in cinematic form. The high priest would then take an obsidian knife, plunge it into the victim's torso, cutting a slit below the rib cage from the belly button up towards the sternum. The priest would then reach inside the victim's torso, pull out the victim's heart, and throw it onto a nearby skillet in order to discern the intents of the gods from the rising vapors. It was thought the more the victims were terrified and cried, the more efficacious the sacrifice would be. Fun stuff. This vast, opulent empire depended, or at least believed they depended, on these blood sacrifices. It was thought that, without them, the rain would not fall, and the crops would not grow, and the sun would cease to shine. Thus, almost daily, human after human was dragged to their doom and hacked to pieces while still alive, their blood providing grease to the gears of Montezuma's machine. Now, this is a difficult story to navigate culturally, as it does not lend itself easily to categorizing one faction or the other as wholly bad or wholly good. However, all of this is to say, this was not the Spanish Empire versus a downtrodden group of peaceable and harmless indigenous tribes. This was a world alive with trade, communication, social hierarchies, and dynasties that had ruled for centuries. And, having built up sufficient animus amongst their subjects, the Aztec dynasty was ripe for political upheaval. However, Montezuma was still revered amongst his own people, and looked at as a god king. So, this band of brigands who had stormed into the metropolis demanding to see him was quite a shocking spectacle to the city's inhabitants. This shock quickly morphed into awe and then into terror, as the conquistadors, at the direction of Cortez, placed the indignant and somewhat bewildered Montezuma under arrest, and essentially placed the city on a sort of martial lockdown. It can be debated by scholars ad nauseum as to whether or not this moment in history was unavoidable, but now, in this capital of an empire unknown to half the world, conquerors from another empire, unknown to the other half of the world, had arrived. And now, conflict was inevitable. And one thing was for certain for everyone involved. Their worlds would never be the same again. And that's it for part 1 of Conquistador by Buddy Levy. This is going to be a multi-parter. There's a lot that goes on in this story, so you don't want to miss part 2, and you don't want to miss any of the titles that we've got on the Too Long Didn't Read book club. Lots up there now. Check it out. We want to encourage you to like, share, subscribe, click the notification bell so that you're alerted every time that we put something out, which is pretty frequent. It's quite the operation we've got burning through these books here, but we hope you're enjoying it. We're having a really good time putting this stuff out for you. Want to encourage you also to go check out alldamnnight.com. That's the All Damn Night Network, which is what Too Long Didn't Read Book Club is really a part of. So if you like this show, there's other shows that we're very, very sure you will enjoy as well. So that's alldamnnight.com. Check that out. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments below. If you've read this book, let us know what you thought. If you know anything about the story of Montezuma and Cortez, let us know what you think. And until then, we will see you on the next episode of the Too Long Didn't Read Book Club.